And we are live. This is another episode of Politics with Peyman JP. Today we'll be discussing neocons and the corruption in Ukraine. So I'm going to toss it right over to you, Peyman, and we'll get right into it. What are your latest thoughts regarding all this?
As a hopeless researcher, I always have to cite my sources. So this is from the Duran and Alexander Mercouris. He was pointing out how Victoria Nuland's husband, which I didn't know, but he's like a head honcho in the neocon movement, and he wrote op-ed, a news piece, which basically said that America has to put boots on the ground in Iran. And apparently when this guy says something, what he's saying is we've already made the decision to do that. Like the neocon establishment is of the opinion that this is going badly, sure, but the only way out is further escalation.
Yeah, and that's seemingly the agenda the whole way. They're just finding any narrative. We're being inundated with every cold, like tired ass narrative from all the other wars. First, we're liberating people, then we're destroying their civilization. Contradictory. It's the essentially weapons of mass destruction with this uranium situation. It's wild. I watch all of it, and I'm just what blows me away is how susceptible we are to it all. But their end game is land invasion. I said it on the episode yesterday. I said if I was a betting man, that's where the smart money is playing right now. There will be a land invasion of Iran.
Yeah, and it's these damn neocons. Like they won't go away. They won't die. No matter what happens, they're never ashamed. And Alexander Mercouris, he says these people, they don't have a reverse gear. Like they can never back down. They always have to escalate. So they go into Ukraine, and this is Victoria Nuland's sort of pet project. We're going to go into Ukraine, and through that, we're going to take over Russia. Huge catastrophe. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Ukrainians are dead. It's all her fault. And they're like, all right, nothing to see here. We're just going to do the same thing. We'll move on to Iran now.
And you wonder if like the biggest reason they're so bold to just do this stuff is because there's no pushback from people. The media doesn't exist as something that scrutinizes all these moves. A small sliver of alternative media does, but for the most part, like they're getting away with it. It's like there's been no recourse for their actions, so they just continue to trudge forward.
That's true. That's definitely a part of it. And I think it's also, if you think of it in terms of a product, so that you package a product, in this case neoconservatism, and you try to capture a market. So there are people in the US like Victor Davis Hanson that believe in peace through power, peace through strength. And then other people package different things, like the left packages universal health care, public education, universal basic income. And you go capture a voter base and you ram these ideas through. And then you got, lone voices like you and I who are like, no, why don't we sit down and talk about the issues? And nobody wants to listen to us.
Yeah, it's some of the interest behind it all too. Like I love Victor Davis Hanson as a military historian. I've read several of his books, the latest being The Dying Citizen, which I thought was excellent. But as for his articles regarding the Iraq conflict and all of the other regime change things that were occurring, he's always been pro that. He's super neocon. He's the Hoover Institute. There's a certain viewpoint they're pushing, and that's it. It's like I was trying to explain yesterday. There's two camps right now. There's people that want to focus on America first, that whole aspect of it, and then there's people that want to further the international hegemon, the empire of America. And Victor Davis Hanson is definitely one of these people.
Sort of to shift the conversation just slightly, I was listening to a Matthias Desmond interview on Glenn Deason, I believe is the podcaster's name. And Matthias, I almost committed suicide this morning. He's talking about how the founding fathers, they formed the United States Republic thinking that, free-thinking men could self-govern. And then he goes, about 10 years in, they realize like they're being buried under all this propaganda war because of the media. I mean, if that's true, if 10 years into the Republic, they saw this coming, then I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, there's some systemic flaws with the setup. Like I look at Matthew Ehret's work regarding the founding fathers and regarding the conflict that's been America's been going through since its founding with the British Empire, and I'm a firm believer that they did through finance. I believe they did take it over, and it's been a hegemon since the Anglo-American establishment. We could call it a million things, but I think that's definitely a relevant aspect.
I mean, there is some truth to that. Let's just call it capitalism. So the industrialists, they centralize, they hoard all the money, and they use it to manipulate opinion through the media, and we call that generally democracy. But it's all synthetic, like it's all fabricated, and it's very difficult to figure out what's real anymore.
Yeah, it is, man. I've been noticing this for years now, and it's to the point now where any like hard, firm belief I had based on just like faith of the system is gone. I think they're capable of doing anything to us. Clearly they want less of us right now. Clearly they're endeavoring to destabilize and degrow our economies. This has been a reality for decades, but it's just mask off now. Our ruling class is synthetic, and the real people above them hate us and want less of us. So what do you do with that?
Again, another podcast that I just been on a tear. I was watching E. Michael Jones, and his theory is that this is all from 1971, where people stopped getting an honest wage. I think he calls it a living wage. It's interesting. He's a Catholic like you, and he weaves. He doesn't even look at current events. He weaves religious scripture and literature, and he uses that to explain our current problems.
Dude, it's all in the Gospels. It's all there, man. And when you read, I think a lot of people make an assumption about the Bible. People that haven't been through it personally and read it, they think, oh, there's probably some morality and some weird axioms and old stories. No, the profundity of this makes you just realize, like, wow, I don't think man on his own could have written something like this. That's kind of the initial takeaway. Something else unique happened in 71 though. And I'm sure E. Michael Jones would have referenced this. That's when we came off of the gold standard. So that's when our money went from being backed by gold to being like monopoly money, fiat currency. Think of our nations at that point became like the company store. Like that's what your money means. And it's based on this nation, which is now a commerce district.
Sorry, I think I didn't explain that well enough. I glossed over 1971. Yeah, he was talking about how when the US went off the gold standard and they started printing money, he's saying that that's when the society started being financialized and they started stealing money from the workers, the labor. Man, I'm starting to use a lot more communist language now. Like I say, we have to value our own labor.
Dude, it's all bullshit. Communism and fascism as being some extreme ends of some right-left divide that's all bullshit. If anything, it's neo-feudalism. There's a super high oligarchy. People that can capture a little bit of wealth in our culture, they just have like an upgrade of accommodations. They're still underneath this oligarchy. And unfortunately, the quality of life we were once allowed to have under this financial oligarchy has been depleting to the point now where working people are scraping by, where like you're seeing multiple families in a small apartment, just so they can keep some quality of life and some standard of living.
I asked a friend of mine once, what do you define? Because he kept saying the elites, the elites. And I'm like, how do you define elites? And he said, anybody who can navigate and profit from within this, central banking system, this fiat banking system. So if you're making like $100 million salary, that's not necessarily, you're not really elite. But if you're part of that banking system where you're basically taking loans, and somehow, if you're a bank, there's a perfect example. Like you are benefiting from other people going into debt.
Yeah, it's and honestly, when I look at everything, I look at everything I know about history and like what's coming to a point or a climax now in this moment. I think there is going to be some kind of reset of our economic model. Now, I think what these elites that have been controlling it for 100 years at least, I think that what they want is to push us into this digital technocracy, where it's central bank digital currency, a Chinese style social credit system, where you could be locked out of things if you have a political opinion that deviates from their orthodoxy. That's the direction I think they want to take us. So what we need to do is really clarify an alternative to that. and not just keep fighting with each other in this with these synthetic culture war bullshit arguments.
Yeah, Desmond and Deason, they talked about this on their podcast yesterday. The technocracy, like it's not. They described it as a bland sort of form of communism, which is what the EU is, because at least communism was somewhat inspiring. You know, workers of the world unite. But he gave an example. I didn't know he ran for office in Denmark, and he said he saw this Russian war coming with Ukraine, and everybody, they changed their tone from "we don't want to get involved" to "we have to, you know, fall in line." And he would go and he would try to tell people, like, you know, Russia has interests too, like we can't just ignore their strategic interests. And he would get accused of colluding with the enemy, and they would attack him for that. And I see that too when people start talking about Russia. What's the first thing they say? They self-censor. Obviously, I don't like Putin, and Putin is a horrible human being, and I you know, I detest the man, and then they go on to their argument.
And Matthias Desmet just wrote a book on mass formation, so he knows exactly that process. There's a lot of people that are just malleable. I'm sorry, but they are, and it's not even in relation directly to their IQ level. You could make an argument maybe their discernment overall, but there's people that have faith in these institutions, and what they tell them, they believe, and they go out and defend these narratives. And when things get when there's more fear in this climate, people start to get security from their narratives. And when they see someone deviating from them, they will proactively attack you. And that's that vitriol. You get vitriol right away, even for questioning something. It's wild to see, but we've seen the best example of it through COVID. But I think there's a lot of people that are just tragically susceptible to these narratives, and that's what we have to contend with.
You're questioning their belief system. It would be like if somebody was questioning Muhammad or Jesus. The mass formation thing, Deason brought this up as well when he was running for office. He goes, the mass formation that existed during COVID, it's almost like they just grafted it on for the Russia-Ukraine thing. In Canada, they then grafted that on to Orange Man Bad. Like they're just they're mass formation psychosis hopping from issue to issue.
Well, let's look at Canada just for a moment. We have a central banking oligarch, essentially, an elitist, a true elitist that never valued Canada, always considered himself a European. And he's flown in here, and what he's doing is a public-private partnership, which is the historical architecture for fascism, and he's implementing a police state at the same time. All of these Orwellian-level dystopian bills, and we have liberals in Canada. Liberals, that comes from the root word freedom, liber, in Greek. Like, I mean, it's phenomenal to me. We have all these liberals that have their elbows up in celebration of this. If it was the blue team, and this is how dumb people are, I'm sorry to say it and sound so arrogant about it, but this is how malleable people are. That's better. If it was the blue team, if this was Mr. Feckless Polyev, and he was implementing this exact same strategy and set of policies, they would call it what it is. They would say that's fascism, because that's the closest thing we have. There's a lot of low-res Canadians that are calling it communism. No. Communism is the people taking over the government and then a dictatorship of the proletariat. It's predicated on that, in fact. We have central bankers financializing our economies and turning our nations into corporations with fascistic rule. That's what we have going on. So it's shocking to me, man. I'm sorry, I got a little passionate about that.
Well, the other example you regularly cite is even more relatable. You have people who ascribe to this climate change agenda supporting data centers. Make that make sense.
Yeah, none of it makes sense. And that's what really started to make me aware, even hyper aware, like, oh my God, we're just being kettled into these different sides and we're being played off against one another. Like, even the words themselves don't mean anything anymore. Liberal doesn't mean anything anymore. Conservative doesn't mean anything. And within this, there's people that are they're going to get down on their side, man. Like, it's like I've said before, when it comes to temperament, those high in openness and creativity lean hard left. The higher you are in those two traits, personality traits, is the further left you lean. Those high in conscientiousness and orderliness, well, that's to the antithesis. They lean to the right. And then, like, those people, the people that are hard, are what's fueling it. It's the extreme ends of this dialectic that captures the middle. And we're all forced to pick a side, and that's normal for us. It's like, It's just wild to see how susceptible to this manipulation we are. And honestly, I hate to be pessimistic, but I don't know how we can get out of it, because they can listen to me say that and just think that guy's an idiot. That guy's crazy. But I truly believe that's what's happening. We have to see beyond this. We won't persevere as long as we continue to see each other as the enemy.
In 1984, the Ministry of Truth, did they change, did they only change the facts, or did they even change the definitions of words? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. It's funny, for a work that I personally cite so frequently, I haven't read it since I was in my super early 20s. I read it twice in my early 20s. I went through Olivore, I went through Animal Farm at the same time. So I remember the basic premises, but not specifics of the plot.
Yeah, I know when to cite the book, but I can't really remember the content of the book. Move on to the second topic.
Sure. Sure. I'll let you take the lead on it. Like I said, you sent me some stuff to go over and I didn't really have a chance. So I'll
Yeah, no, it's
participate.
fine.
You've
So
lead.
a few days ago, the Ukraine sent some drones over Latvian airspace, and I think also through Finland, and they were testing the water. This is the way NATO, the despicable organization, works. Like they take an inch, and if Russia doesn't push back, they'll take a mile. So they took the inch. They violated the airspace of NATO countries in order to attack Russia, and Russia said that's not good. Don't do that, and they didn't listen. And then Russia hacked into Starlink, and supposedly, apparently they hacked into Starlink and they redirected one of the drones that attacked an oil refinery in Latvia. And then apparently Estonia came out and essentially confirmed that that happened. And Finland came out and they said, no, 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 you must not violate our airspace. So I think the bear kind of like pimp slapped these countries, and they're back into line.
Yeah, and it fits in with my framing for Putin since this conflict started. Like, Putin's doing the bare minimum, and there's a lot of pressure from his own country and the people underneath him to go harder. But he's standing firm. He's doing like the least amount possible. I don't know how much longer he could do it. And it's funny, you say a lot of people will qualify. Well, I don't like Putin. I don't do that. I think Putin has shown, and I think if history has any accuracy, which it doesn't the way we collect it, but he will be remembered as being the adult in the room that potentially avoided the destruction of Europe.
Desmond was going over how the Crimean War, which I know nothing about, I just know it was between Russia and Turkey. Before the Crimean War, Turkey was sort of like the barbarian. And then the Crimean War started, and England just fabricated a propaganda war to like cast Russia as the barbarians and the Turks as the victims. And they were saying how that was like the beginning of this whole propaganda thing that we're seeing.
Oh my God, it's all so influential too. Like, there's reality, and then there's what these various parties describe reality as. And again, we can't see past it. And that's the biggest thing. You look at everyone, dude. Go back to Gaddafi. Read anything about Gaddafi. He was seemingly a very noble guy that wanted to do well by his people. Now, just for saying that, there's people in the audience probably cringing, right? Because it's like, you can't say that. He was an animal. He was, it's like, no, he wanted to have an African dollar based on a gold standard. He was excluding the central banking cabal. And that's why he was vilified. And that's why everyone else was vilified. Isn't that something unique with all the conflicts we had since World War II? And you could say including World War II was relative to this banking financial system.
But how many countries are we down to that are off of the banking system?
It's a good question.
I mean, Iran is one. North Korea is probably another one. Russia has an independent central bank, so they're half off the system.
Mhm.
China, I don't know. I feel like China is also integrated into the central banking system.
I'm going to just check this right quick because I'm very curious. But speaking to my point, it's everyone that doesn't is vilified in our media, like everyone. And it's just like, it would be very easy to vilify Western leaders the way we vilify other leaders. There's not a leader out there that doesn't have blood on their hands. That's like, politics would never intrigue me because I couldn't do that. I don't want to break these hard morals. I wouldn't want to order people murdered.
Well, it's like that old saying, when they do it, it's terrorism. When we do it, it's counterterrorism. I don't see anybody, when they're speaking about Victoria Nuland's husband, coming right out of the gate and vilifying him and being like, well, obviously he's a horrible human being and he deserves to be in jail, but nobody does that. Nobody qualifies it for our team.
So it's hard to find this on Google, but I'm it's taking me to an Instagram link. So again, I'll qualify this as I don't know the accuracy. But in 2000, there were 9 countries without a Rothschild-owned central bank. It was Iran, Iraq, Cuba, Syria, Libya, Sudan, Venezuela, Afghanistan, and North Korea. So now, out of that list, what remains is Iran, Cuba, North Korea, and Venezuela. I don't know if Venezuela has changed now, where they were kind of taken over, brought into the oligarchy that runs the world. But it's
I think this central banking thing, we might be framing it incorrectly. It's not like it's one family like the Rothschilds that are becoming filthy rich. That's the problem. That the main problem. The main problem is that it's a system that's designed to indebt everyone, impoverish everyone. Just think of it as the system. Think of it as AI. So Rothschilds create this banking AI, and I think the AI is just taking over. It's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, there's systemic flaws, there's deficiencies in it, and that's what we're enslaved to. It's like I frequently say, the chains that slave modern man are monetary policy, fiscal policy. It's the financial system that enslaves us, not any nation state, not any country, not a certain ideology. The people on the so-called left and the so-called right, they're equally enslaved. Even people with some wealth is still, like I said, they have upgraded economies in this system that's just it's dysfunctional.
Yeah, it's it's like an onion. You peel back one layer, so immigration, and behind it you find another layer, bureaucracy, and you peel that back, and behind that you find another layer, elites running Canada, and you peel back. Eventually, it gets to the monetary system, which just happens to be this central banking, whatever, fake money, monopoly money system.
Yeah, the usury based financial system. That's what we're enslaved to. So I would like to take a moment. Our audience is abnormally low, even for us. It's amazing how deboosted we are. We started an hour later than we generally do, which I thought would potentially lead to more people. But evidently it did not. We only have about 40 people watching. So I will take a moment to really appeal to you guys. If you could share this, send it to anyone you think might enjoy this content. It's the only reach we get.
So I guess since we have less audience, less questions, so we can talk a little bit more.
Absolutely.
How would you imagine creating a better monetary money system, just a better money? And I mean, you could do a gold standard, but I was thinking about this. You need the money to grow as you get new babies, new children, new people. What would you peg it to? Like, what would your currency be pegged to?
It's a good question. Should it be pegged to anything, or should it just be managed better? Right? Like, crypto would be an option. My big concern is another oligarchy garnering power. Like, if we can ever get out from underneath the grasp of whatever's going on, and we have a chance to rework everything, we have to make plans to avoid this from occurring in the future. Because if there's not built-in aspects of any system to prevent these types of things, we'll see them arise right away. We'll see people garner too much power and then take the system over.
You mentioned crypto. The problem with Bitcoin is that it's too valuable. So you have this like devaluing piece of trash currency that you have to pay taxes in. So you're more likely to use that for transactions. But like you're right, Bitcoin is based on nothing, and then people have to figure out what its value is. But you could peg it to something else. I mean, you could peg it to the number of people on the planet. Every time someone was born, you create a million Peyman bucks or something like that.
I agree. And the fact of the matter is, and I'm from kind of the right, more libertarian minded. I read Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell, and they kind of worship the free market and make all kinds of arguments supporting usury, like actually like supporting it, saying it serves a function. But I think we need a system that serves humanity. I think we've come too far. I think we've seen a lot of wars. Like, think of war in general. It's so normalized that it's like, oh, you're a pacifist. You know, there's hard things. Dude, we don't have to murder each other. There's enough. There's enough if we could prevent this usury system from sucking up all the wealth. There's more than enough. And I'm not saying, like you were saying earlier, you were using communistic language. No, it's not like that at all. We need to have free enterprise. We need to ensure that we're not subjugated under the proletariat or the bourgeoisie. I don't want to be subjugated under neither one. I want free enterprise. I want freedom, and we need a system that can provide us with these things.
I think
Function us.
I'm too lonely out here. I'm just walking around this property thinking about what money is and coming up with a payment ledger system. So I think I need a girlfriend.
Or you need to start writing some of it down, bro.
Substack substitutes as the girlfriend. Yeah. What was the third topic? It was Zelensky and anti-corruption squad.
The corruption, yeah.
Maybe it's a coincidence that girl goes on Tucker Carlson, and then the next day there's like visible raids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell what's going on, but I find by watching some of these bigger mainstream things, you could start to see the script that they're trying to give you. Again, man, I just think they have too hard of a hold over Ukraine. I even think if they pull Zelensky out, he will be a scapegoat. They'll put someone in, and then they'll get to that person too, and we'll just see it continue. Because it's like I said, man. I realized this with Justin Trudeau when he was in power. Like, this guy's not making decisions. I'm not that naive. I know there's powerful people in the world and there's very important things. This guy, his IQ is room temperature. You know, he's got nice hair. Like, he's not making decisions. It would be irresponsible for them to let a leader like that make decisions. So then you kind of expand out with that framing. None of them make real decisions. They just don't. There's things that handle it above them. And my fear is we get it's this apparent solution now because they vilify or they very much speak highly of someone. So there's villains, there's good guys and bad guys. And when they pull one out, we're all supposed to believe, oh, it's going to change now. You know what I mean? When it's way bigger than that. So, I mean, my fear would be they pull Zelensky out because of the corporation, scapegoat him in some way, and then stick another guy in, and it's business as usual.
That might happen, yeah. Because at first I said there's no way they're going to get him out. There's no justice in this world. The bad guys always get away with money. But then I thought, we're talking about the CIA here. If they think that it's to their advantage to like suicide this guy, they'll do it. I mean, they don't have to send this guy to the Vatican with a briefcase full of money. What I was going to say, the anti-corruption agency that went after him, they did this once before. They opened up some investigations. I don't know where it led, but people were saying how this anti-corruption agency was originally funded by America, but then when they took a back seat, it's been funded by Europe. So this is Europe making this happen.
Yeah, I could believe that. The thing is too, right? Like, behind this, like this, we reference it a lot. Do we know what it is? Of course not. No one really knows. But this supranational network above the government, they like being clandestine. Their existence, it relies on them not being visible. But make no mistake, when their power is really threatened, they will do whatever is necessary to maintain it. And that's when things just happen. That's when leaders just get assassinated. If you cause too much of a problem for this well-entrenched power oligarchy, you just go away. And they don't care how obvious it looks. Case in point, JFK.
That's a dark time. There's Zelensky's got some other problems. Russia just had their May Day parade or whatever it is. And I think Putin told Trump, like, this is a red line. Like, if Ukraine tries to stir up shit during our ceremony, he must have said something like, we're going to nuke them or we're going to flatten Kiev. So Zelensky did not, and when I say Zelensky, I mean the UK didn't use Ukraine to cause terrorism inside Russia. The other thing is Cyprus, or one of the countries in Europe, in the EU, basically refused to let Ukraine into the EU. So now Ukraine doesn't even have a hope in hell of joining the EU. And it's like, I think Zelensky feels the walls closing in on him.
Yeah, and I think it was an inevitability. But Putin's going to have to do something. Like, I've been characterizing him as the adult in the room, operating restraint, hoping that cooler minds can prevail. but they're pushing this man into a corner. And at the end of the day, you can't do that. There's going to be a reaction, and that's my big fear, man. Like Europe could go into war at this point. Canada's there. Like Canada will go to war with Europe against Putin, which is just crazy. But I think they might even be able to pull America back into it. I don't think it's as I think a lot of what we're seeing with this bad tension between Europe and America might be being played for the media a little bit. I think the same powers control both assets in both countries. So I feel America would get sucked into it, and it would be straight up World War III.
I've heard some really interesting theories. One of them I shared with you regarding why Trump went to Iran. Like, why would he get involved? And the neocons, is pretty easy to understand why they wanted to get involved, because they want America to be the hegemon. But the Trump administration was supposed to embrace multipolarity and focus on the Western Hemisphere. Somebody might have gone to him and said, "Sir, you have a weak bargaining position. China's humiliated you with your tariffs didn't work. They withheld rare earths. Here's a path to gaining leverage over China. We go into Iran, they're going to crumble within 72 hours, and we're going to control the oil. And then after that, we'll do a summit in China." And now it's just gone horribly bad.
Maybe it's very possible. Maybe he's being convinced by the people around him. I don't buy that anymore. I think he's part of this, and I just think it works very differently than people think. Like these people, these heads of our countries, these leaders, I don't think they have much power. I really don't. I think if anything, their role is to sloppily regurgitate scripted rhetoric to the people of these countries, to provide us with the illusion of participatory governance, to provide us with the illusion of having a say, which is seemingly what it is now. It's an illusion. Just look at Trump, man. Look at the 180. Look at it. Like everything he was going to do, he didn't do, and not just that, he did the opposite of it. And then he's calling his base out, like he's suiciding his campaign. They're giving the midterms back to the Democrats. I don't know, man. I want to be wrong about Trump, but I think he's just part of it. And I think he maybe he didn't want to be, but now he certainly is.
But there's no internal logic either. To like, if he did a 180, why would who's the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, why would he come out last year and say, unipolarity is dead, we need to embrace multipolarity? Like, the entire administration is doing a 180, and I can't figure out why.
Did you hear yesterday Tulsi Gabbard's office was raided and they took
What?
all kinds of documents? Yeah, it was raided.
Who the hell raids? They are the government. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I believe the FBI did this, and there's a lot of people calling for like Trump's got to come out hard against this, return everything that was removed, and if he doesn't, no, I believe it was the CIA. Then if he's not able to do that, that's proof positive that the CIA operates independent of the American government, which I'm convinced of. I've read a lot of books that indicate that. The CIA is one of it's like the major way they kind of impose their will, this supranational class.
Matt Ehret told me a story about how Eisenhower, he kept pressing, I don't know, whoever it was, Dulles, I guess. He's like, I want to know what's going on in the CIA. I want to know what's going on. And Dulles wouldn't reveal the information. So he almost invaded the CIA. Like he got because he's a military guy, right? He was going to get the military to go in and figure out what the hell was going on in there.
I heard that story. It might have been from Matt's work. But yeah, I mean, this is how it is. And JFK famously, he was coming in very adversarial with them. I'm going to scatter them to the breeze of history or something along those lines. And then it was back into the left, right? Like that's what I was saying earlier. Like when you truly threaten this power network, they'll do whatever's necessary. And when you read Tragedy and Hope, it really puts it in perspective because like Quigley admired this structure. Like the whole time he's writing this book, he admires them. The one criticism he says is that they're not just wide open about it. This is our empire. You know what I mean? It's wild.
This other crazy argument I heard, I don't know who it was from, but it's not just Trump that's had an assassination attempt against him. It's also Putin. Somebody in the CIA tried to take out Putin a few minutes after his phone call with Trump. I hope it wasn't Trump. Maybe it was Trump, and he's an idiot for going along with it. But it seems they said, what if it's the same people behind both assassination attempts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it very well could be. And this is what they don't want leaders that are willing to take risks and assert themselves to get some sovereignty back. Because we're not sovereign if we're all beholden to this central banking oligarchy. That's just the fact of the matter. We're not sovereign nations, and nations themselves are more akin to commerce districts than nations. And that's what we're seeing even with the mass migration. You look at Canada, the UK, New Zealand, Australia, they're importing labor. And it's like, it doesn't matter. We're just interchangeable. Oh, well, we're not having enough. The stock, the peasantry isn't reproducing enough to keep it going, keep the economy going. We'll just bring in more from the third world. It doesn't matter. A nation is not its people. A nation is a commerce district.
That list you gave me of the banks that aren't on the Rothschild banking system, was Russia in there? Sorry to bring it up, but what I was saying is, look at the people that they're taking out. They tried to take out Putin. They took out Chavez, well, in a helicopter, but they took him out. They wiped out a lot of the leadership of Iran. You know, these aren't Western nations. This is, first of all, this is terrorism, but it's being carried out against people that really aren't part of this banking cabal.
I'm just trying to check. I can't even find it, man. Did you ever hear Alex Craner tell the story about Russia and the 7 oligarchs?
The one that Putin threw in jail?
Yeah, Putin first comes to power. Now this is a retelling. I'm kind of paraphrasing what story I heard. But when Putin came into power, there was about 7 oligarchs that were running things. They were involved in politics. They were involved in a lot of corruption. And Putin summoned them all for a meeting. And a lot of them were concerned that they were going to get stripped of all their assets. He was going to nationalize and he sat them all down, apparently. This is the legend goes. And he said, look, I'm not going to take anything you guys got. I want you guys to keep doing what you're doing. But there's 2 rules. You're going to pay my people, the Russian people, a fair wage, and you are not to be involved in politics. We'll let you make your money. You can stimulate industry. You can create growth. But you're not running the show politically, and you have to pay Russians a fair wage. And I believe a couple of them were put in jail. They refused to play along the rules, and a few of them fled to Israel, which is interesting. I'm not going to get into that on this episode, but I mean, that's kind of the myth. I think if anything, if they're still involved, and I can't trust that list I had anyway. It was like an Instagram post, but if they are still involved, I think Putin is dictating a lot of the rules. I don't think they have carte blanche as they seemingly have in the West.
I've heard that story. I wonder how much of it is true because Russia's nationalized. They run a state economy, so it'd be interesting to see how that works. You mentioned Israel. One of Zelensky's guys actually fled to Israel during the last sort of anti-corruption crackdown. It seems like everybody just flees to Israel for immunity.
Seems like Israel's laws were set up for that function to serve that.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
That's strange. It's strange.
Must be a coincidence.
That's right. So we may as well go through. We got a few questions now. I will take a moment again, which I don't do frequently enough, and ask you guys, if you are watching, please share this. It helps. Like, we went from thousands of viewers to not even 100 now. So it's like, we do this because there are a lot of people that enjoy it. But if you can share it, it helps us out a lot. Clown World, loyal viewer, good morning. Happy to watch the self-help show. Not today. Not today. It's a geopolitical analysis show today, but we mix it up.
The show definitely helps JP and myself not hang ourselves.
Well, that's what I've been saying for a while. It's cathartic. I like to describe this, if people watch it and they take something from it, fine. So we have Clown World. Thank you for reposting to Clown World. I remember the days when I thought the UN were the good guys. Simple time.
Yeah. I remember their blue hats and their, their Defender Range Rovers, Land Rovers. They were peacekeepers, and everybody thought that the UN was the way forward. And now I'm just like, dismantle the damn thing, burn it to the ground.
I think it should have been dismantled right after the Soviet Union fell. I think if we wanted to actually move forward and be fair and look to have a peaceful civil society, that would have been the play right there. Okay, well, it's not necessary anymore. Let's get rid of it. But unfortunately, bureaucratic power dynamics aren't going that way.
So technically, that's the direction it's going now, because when America comes out and says we don't have to observe international law, well, why do you need the UN then?
Yeah. Well, we don't really,
No.
honestly. Something new could be better, but I mean, the UN is just it's one of the more corrupt things we have in this world. The UN and the WHO. So JP, at the same time, if PP were to implement the same, his base would support it. Of course, it's the mindless tribalism that we see in Western politics.
Yeah, it's a hard one to break. It's even for me because you support something, and you could think of it as like a wrestling match. You know, you support your favorite guy, somebody else disagrees with you, and you get to fight with them.
The big thing I don't understand about these domestic political commentators is like, are they not looking geopolitically at all? Like these guys that are just hard red team or hard blue team, and they do shows like we do, which have much better ratings that you have to add because that's what people want, the low resolution shit. But do they not look that all of these policies that are extremely unpopular are being imposed by all the Western governments, despite them, there being no want for them and they're very detrimental? Like, does that ever occur to them, or are they willfully ignorant? Are they just grifting for bucks at this point?
I don't know, but what you're describing is basically a Ron Paul. There are a couple of politicians. Ron Paul's a podcaster now, but there's a couple that talk like that and think like that. They think big picture, foundation, but not most of them are just they're in it to win.
Yeah, and it's very corrupted too. So, all right. So we have Derek Sittler. Went to see the Animal Farm movie with my wife. Intriguing reminder of a tale we're living out now. Yeah, pretty much. Some are created equal, some eat
Yeah.
more equal than others.
Um, Matthias Desmond and Deason, they reference Animal Farm yesterday as well. The the Yugoslavia war, that campaign, the Kosovo war, I was too young to remember, but apparently the UN came out and said, yes, what they're doing is not legal, it's not lawful, but it's legitimate. So they said that's kind of Animal Farm, some laws are more lawful than others.
And that's the thing. A lot of soft people from the comfortable modernity don't realize is like law is only relevant if you can uphold it. That's just like private property. You only truly own something if you can prevent people from taking it from you. Like we have these civil societies that function very well in some ways, very poorly in others. But without that, you're on your own. So like concepts like law and private property are a little different in the cruel world.
Yeah, it's Who Watches the Watchers. I was talking to Tony Landham, the gentleman that suing Air Canada. He's about to go to jail for criminal harassment. It's nonsense. A judge yelled at him, and he complains about it to another judge. Judges aren't allowed to yell at people, and the judge is like, "No, nothing to see here." And I'm like, "Who watches the watchers? Like, how are you going to get justice when you have this self-contained justice system that defends its own?"
And it's always one of the biggest problems. Like a corrupt judiciary can do so much damage. And when you look at the judiciary in Canada, these tribunals that are appointed that have actual legal power, when you look at our Supreme Court, they're all ideologues. They're not looking to be fair and apply the law in that kind of a regard. They're looking to impose their orthodoxy. So I mean, we're getting into very dangerous territory.
Yeah.
So surprising that all those countries happen to be victims of CIA psyops. Not sure specifically what
You
reference that
called
is to.
those 9 countries that you named?
Oh yes, yeah, of course. Color revolution, strategy of tensions. You could read up all about the tactics. It's like written down now.
It's, what do they call it? Soft power projection. Like,
Mm.
America's ability to control the media, it was the illusion was shattered by Iran recently, but up until then, like, America could do no harm. It was invincible, and it was always on the side of righteousness or side of justice.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like when you finally endeavor to see past all of this programming and you start to see the world for what it is, it's truly disconcerting. A lot of people can't handle it, and that's what we have the problem with the cognitive dissonance. People don't want to hear that everything's fake and gay. You know what I mean? They want to hear that this guy on the blue team is going to save them. Let's just support him mindlessly. That's what Joe Average wants from his politics. So we have Gary, another loyal viewer. I'm pumping out payment points on my pewter right now.
Oh, the payment bucks. Yeah. So for every payment buck you mine, I send you a second payment buck. So get in quick.
You got a meme coin, bro?
No.
So look at that. I just said that. It's all fake and gay. Enjoy the show for what it is, entertainment.
I hope he's not talking about this show.
No, this show.
There's an element of gayness to it.
There's no gayness in this show. Yeah, man, it's funny, Peyman. I remember one of our very early conversations. I was kind of debating your audience regarding the 51st state thing. And I was trying to make a point. It was like there's broader powers that are reassembling and they're changing, they're transitioning our countries. I think we can observe and we could do commentary, but I think there's things that are kind of beyond our control. And I think everything we're seeing is just an explanation for it. It's scripted rhetoric to make the transition more accommodating, to keep people in this illusion that they're free and they participate in the structure of society.
It'd be interesting to go back and watch that episode. I suspect that both of us, we had more spring in our step and we had more hope and we really enjoyed it. Whereas now we're just like, holy crap, this is bad.
I was thinking of that, man. I was thinking of back. I've only been at this for 3 years. You've been at it for probably double that. But I look at my positions and how far I've came. I think I'm coming closer to truth. But I mean, with that said, you have to be hyper cognizant of the fact that you might be manipulated too. I mean, I ask myself daily, I scrutinize myself on my positions. And that's what you have to do. You have to be humble enough to do that too. What else do we got here? Look further than Carney to realize there's greater powers and work abroad. Of course there is.
What was the question? What did he say? Look no farther than Carney
Look,
to
look
what?
further than Carney to realize
look no further.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Look no further than Carney to realize there's a greater powers at work out here and beyond, abroad.
I think what he means is Carney is like pretty much the head of the snake. Is that what he means?
Sort of, yeah. Look no further than him for proof that there's. I mean, you can make a point out of that. Like Carney's clearly a central banker. I remember footage came out, and I think it was when he was leaving the position he had with the Bank of England, and they were asking him, "Are you going to be a politician? Are you going to be a politician?" And he's chuckling arrogantly, and he's not answering the question. And then they ask him again, "Well, why are you chuckling?" Like, I'm just asking if you're going to run for office in Canada. And he said, "Yeah, I'll be a circus clown. Why don't I just be a circus clown? Do you guys want me to be a circus clown?" And a lot of people didn't get that reference, but I did right away. It's like Carney is profoundly aware of what leaders of countries are. They're just to keep the peasants in line, essentially, keep us arguing with one another.
And people that go into politics, they underestimate just how much control the media has over the masses. So that's 50% of how they control elections. The other 50% is the political party, which is a branding mechanism, but it's a force to be reckoned with. Like, you have these mindless zombies elbows up voting for, in this case, a central banker.
Yeah, 100%, and supporting it, arguing with their neighbors about it. And then you have the other side arguing, like Pierre Poilievre and his policies. What's that going to do? Like, it's just such a joke. It's the same thing. And like, at the same time, this has never been more evident. Like, you can read Mark Twain from like 100+ years ago, and he's saying if voting actually did something, they wouldn't let you do it. Like, people could see the synthetic nature of this from any time. Another huge person is George Carlin. A lot of his writings indicate like people could see this for a long time, but it's never been so evident. You have to be putting effort in to not see this presently. You have to be practicing willful ignorance at this point.
Let's compare and contrast the liberal voters with the conservative voters. The liberal voters, it's impressive to behold how convincingly they're lying to themselves. Mark Carney's our guy. He will get us out of this. And then you look at the conservative side, they look pathetic by comparison. They're like, Pierre Poilievre, did you see him eat an apple? And you're like, oh, that's sweet, dear. That's so nice. It's like talking to your grandchildren.
Pierre Poilievre ate an apple 3 years ago and asked a clarifying question to an arrogant reporter, and they're still celebrating him for that. We need more of that, Pierre. Get down and appeal to the base. It's like, no, guys, he's got to see past this. This is not real. This has not been real for many decades, not even a little bit.
You're still on social media. Are they still clinging on to hope, like the conservative supporters and the shills? Are they saying Pierre's our guy?
Oh, absolutely. Now they're talking about communism nonstop. Like, oh, it's this communism and Marxism and stuff. It's like it's the same shit, man. And they all kind of coordinate their messaging somehow. Some of them, I get the impression, are really just dumb. And they garnered some attention on social media. They were able to kind of validate their inflated impressions of themselves. So they continue, they make a few bucks, and they know what their audience wants. So they won't endeavor to critically analyze anything. They know what sells and what doesn't. But some of them, I truly believe they're being coordinated. But yeah, man, there's still balls to the wall for Pierre. It's still red team versus blue team. There's no more complexity in their analysis yet. And there never will be, because that's what they serve to function.
That's just sad.
It truly is, man. So let's see if we got anything else in the questions. We got Alice Not Woke. Carney's brother works for the City of London as well. What are the chances? I was unaware of that.
Was it Carney's brother is the financial advisor to the royal family? Is something like that.
That's real power. You can't get into those circles. Yeah, there's nothing coincidental about any of this. It's just shocking that people aren't willing to see it yet for what it is. So we got Gary. Thanks for starting an hour late. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the normal. I think it will be 9 a.m. And honestly, when I'm looking at the numbers, it doesn't matter. We're being systemically targeted for suppression. That's like, there's nothing subtle about how much we're deboosted. This is the show that they truly don't want you to see.
Gary, I don't want any more complaints from you about how lazy you are. Get up at 6 a.m. and watch the show Pacific time. What are you complaining about?
That's right, man. And a lot of our audience are on Pacific Standard Time. So it's like 6 a.m. there. Wow.
We're encouraging people to be responsible. Don't sleep in.
That's right. So I think that's about it. The only thing that defines conservative Canadians is their unwillingness to march to the same drummer. I don't know. I get what you're saying. Again, I think our problems are far bigger than conservatives versus liberals, and especially in Canada, that doesn't mean anything anymore. But with that said, we're towards the end. Do you have any parting words, Peyman?
One thing I forgot to mention, there was an attack on Kiev, I guess, yesterday. I don't know if Russia hit a military target or they're retaliated and they're hitting civilian targets, but they flattened the apartment complex, or it could just be MI6 blowing up innocent civilians.
Yeah, didn't they say too that there's going to be terrorism utilized to potentially win or something? Wasn't it MI6?
Yeah, MI6, their director, who has the most ridiculous name, I think her name is Blaze. She said that they're going to resort to World War II style infiltration tactics or wet works or something like that, which is just terrorism. They're going to leave people behind so that when the Russians come in, they got to deal with these terrorists, blowing up police stations and things like that.
So with that said, I have some parting words. And I truly believe this to be the truth. You could take it however you want. We're being governed by psychopaths. They're literally psychopathic and they don't care about you at all. So, it's probably time to pull your heads out of your asses and start to really look at this thing. And with that said, sorry for being so crude towards the end. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.